In the misty realm, where autumn never ends and shadows dance with moonbeams, there exists a love story so gentle and pure that it could lull even the most restless hearts to peaceful slumber. Tonight, we journey to Halloween Town, where carved pumpkins glow with warm amber light, and where two souls discovered that true love blooms in the most unexpected places. This isn't a tale of grand adventures or heart-pounding excitement. Instead, it's a quiet story of connection, understanding, and the beautiful way two different hearts can find their perfect rhythm together. Picture yourself settling into the softest blanket you've ever felt, surrounded by the gentle scent of cinnamon and vanilla. The world outside grows quiet as we step through the misty veil into a place where every day feels like the perfect October evening. Here, beneath stars that twinkle like scattered diamonds against velvet sky, we'll discover how Jack Skellington, the Pumpkin King of Halloween Town, found something more precious than all the frights and delights his realm could offer. Our story begins not with thunder or lightning, but with the soft whisper of autumn leaves dancing on a breeze that carries the promise of sweet dreams. Jack stood tall atop Spiral Hill, his elegant frame silhouetted against the pale moon. His hollow eye sockets gazed across the town he ruled with such dedication. Yet tonight, something felt different. The familiar sights that once filled him with purpose now seemed to blur into a gentle haze of routine. Down in the winding streets below, jack-o'-lanterns flickered with sleepy smiles, their carved faces glowing like tiny suns preparing for rest. The citizens of Halloween Town moved through their nightly rituals with the comfortable predictability of a lullaby. Vampires folded their wings and settled into cozy coffins. Ghosts drifted through walls with contented sighs. Even the werewolves curled up like oversized puppies, their fierce howls softening into peaceful snores. But Jack felt something stirring in his ribcage, where a heart might beat if he were made of flesh instead of bone. It was a longing he couldn't quite name, like the feeling you get when you hear a half-remembered melody from childhood. He began to walk down the hill, his long legs carrying him through streets he knew by heart, past houses where warm light spilled from crooked windows like honey from a jar. As he wandered, Jack's thoughts drifted like clouds across a sleepy sky. He loved his town and cherished his role as the Pumpkin King. Every Halloween brought such joy to children around the world, and knowing he played a part in that magic had always filled him with purpose. Yet lately, in the quiet moments between scares and celebrations, he found himself wondering if there might be more to existence than the endless cycle of frightful fun. It's like the cobblestone path beneath his feet seemed to guide him toward the outskirts of town, where a modest tower rose against the starlit sky. This tower, built from stones the color of moonbeams, was home to Sally, the rag doll created by the town's eccentric scientist, Dr. Finkelstein. Sally possessed a gentle soul that shone through her patchwork exterior, like light through stained glass. While Jack wandered the streets above, Sally sat quietly in her tower room, her delicate hands working on a new creation. She had a gift for seeing beauty in broken things and finding ways to mend what others might discard. Tonight, she was carefully stitching together fabric scraps into a quilt that would keep someone warm through the coldest nights. Each stitch was placed with love, each pattern chosen with care. Sally often watched Jack from her window as he moved through Halloween Town. She admired his grace, his kindness to the townspeople, and the way he carried himself with quiet dignity. There was something about the Pumpkin King that called to her heart like a distant bell chiming across a peaceful meadow. She had never spoken to him directly, but she felt a connection that transcended words, as if their souls recognized each other across the space between Earth and stars. As Jack's wandering brought him closer to the tower, Sally felt a flutter in her chest, like butterfly wings brushing against flower petals. She set down her sewing and moved to the window, where she could see his tall figure approaching through the misty streets. The sight of him filled her with a warmth that spread from her center outward, like ripples on a calm pond touched by a gentle breeze. Jack paused beneath a street lamp, whose light painted everything in shades of gold and amber. He looked up at the tower, and for just a moment, their eyes met across the distance. It was a brief glance, lasting no longer than a heartbeat, but in that instant, something beautiful passed between them. Not words or gestures, but something deeper, a recognition, an understanding, a promise of something wonderful yet to come. Sally's hand moved to her chest, where she felt her cloth heart beating with new life. Jack tilted his skull slightly, as if listening to a song only he could hear. The moment stretched between them like a golden thread, connecting two souls who had been searching without knowing what they sought. A gentle breeze stirred the autumn leaves, creating a soft, rustling sound, like whispered secrets. The moon smiled down upon the scene, blessing this quiet meeting with its silver light. Even the jack-o'-lanterns seemed to glow a little brighter, as if celebrating the magic that was beginning to bloom in the space between two hearts. Jack raised his hand in a small wave, a gesture so simple yet filled with such warmth that Sally felt tears of joy prick at her button eyes. She pressed her palm against the cool glass of her window, wishing she could step outside and walk beside him through the peaceful streets. But for now, this moment of connection was enough. It was a seed planted in fertile ground, ready to grow into something beautiful. As the night deepened around them, Jack continued his walk, but now his steps had new purpose. He was no longer wandering aimlessly through familiar streets. Instead, he was moving toward something, toward someone, toward a future that suddenly seemed bright with possibility. The longing in his chest had transformed into something warmer, something that felt like coming home after a long journey. Sally watched until his figure disappeared into the misty distance, then returned to her sewing with renewed energy. As she worked, she found herself humming a melody she had never heard before, a tune that seemed to flow from her heart like water from a spring. The quilt beneath her hands began to take on new patterns, designs that spoke of connection and belonging, of two souls finding each other in the vastness of the night. The hours passed like gentle waves lapping at a peaceful shore. Halloween Town settled into its nightly rhythm, but beneath the surface of routine, something new was stirring. Love, like the first green shoots of spring pushing through winter snow, was beginning to bloom in the most unexpected place. In the tower room, Sally carefully folded her completed quilt and placed it in a basket. Tomorrow, she decided, she would find a way to give it to someone who needed warmth. Perhaps someone who wandered the streets late at night, searching for something they couldn't quite name. The thought made her smile as she prepared for sleep, her dreams already filling with visions of kind eyes and gentle gestures. Meanwhile, Jack had returned to his home, a mansion that perfectly reflected his status as the Pumpkin King. But tonight, the grand rooms felt different somehow, less lonely, more filled with possibility. He settled into his favorite chair and gazed out at the town he loved. But now his view included a certain tower where a light still glowed in an upstairs window. As Halloween Town drifted into peaceful slumber, two hearts beat in rhythm across the distance, connected by something stronger than words, deeper than fear, and more lasting than any earthly magic. Their love story was just beginning, unfolding like a flower, opening to greet the dawn. The dawn arrived in Halloween Town with the softest whisper, painting the sky in shades of lavender and pearl. Jack had barely slept, his mind filled with images of gentle button eyes and patchwork hands pressed against window glass. He moved through his morning routine with unusual care, straightening his bow tie just so and smoothing the elegant lines of his black suit. Today felt different, charged with the kind of quiet anticipation that makes even ordinary moments feel touched by magic. Sally had risen early as well, her nimble fingers braiding wildflowers into her long red hair. She had gathered them from the small garden behind the tower, where morning glories climbed toward the pale sun and lavender grew in neat purple rows. The flowers seemed to understand her joy, blooming brighter in her presence as she hummed that mysterious melody that had come to her in the night. Dr. Finkelstein was still sleeping in his laboratory below, surrounded by bubbling beakers and dusty tomes, giving Sally precious moments of freedom to prepare for what she hoped would be a very special day. As the town awakened around them, both Jack and Sally found themselves drawn to the same destination. The marketplace, in the heart of Halloween Town, bustled with gentle activity as creatures of all kinds went about their morning errands. Witches compared recipes for soothing tea blends, their cauldrons bubbling with aromatic herbs. Friendly ghosts helped elderly goblins carry their shopping baskets, while young werewolf pups played hide-and-seek between the market stalls. Jack arrived first, his tall frame moving gracefully between the vendors. He paused at a flower stall run by a kindly old witch, whose warded hands tended the most beautiful blooms in all the realm. The flowers here weren't frightening or strange, but rather the kind that made you think of peaceful gardens and quiet afternoons. Roses, the color of sunset, daisies that seemed to glow from within, and delicate baby's breath that looked like captured starlight. The witch noticed Jack's careful consideration of her wares and smiled with genuine warmth. Her voice was soft as falling leaves when she spoke, asking what kind of flowers might brighten someone's day. Jack found himself describing Sally without naming her, speaking of someone gentle and creative, someone who saw beauty in all things and had the gift of making others feel welcomed and understood. The witch nodded knowingly and began selecting stems with practiced care. She chose flowers that spoke of admiration and friendship, of new beginnings and gentle hopes. As she wrapped them in paper, the color of morning mist, she whispered a small blessing over the bouquet, the kind of magic that helps love grow strong and true. Just as Jack completed his purchase, Sally appeared at the edge of the marketplace. She carried her basket with the carefully folded quilt inside, her heart beating like the wings of a hummingbird as she searched the crowd for a familiar figure. When she spotted Jack near the flower stall, her entire being seemed to light up from within, as if someone had just lit a candle in a darkened room. Their eyes met across the bustling marketplace, and this time, neither looked away. Jack's hollow sockets somehow conveyed warmth and wonder, while Sally's button eyes sparkled with joy and nervous excitement. The world around them seemed to slow, as if time itself wanted to savor this moment of two souls recognizing their perfect match. Jack began walking toward her, his long strides eating up the distance between them. The bouquet in his hands seemed to pulse with life, the flowers turning their faces toward Sally, as if she were their own personal sun. Other shoppers moved around them like water flowing around stones, instinctively giving space to something beautiful and sacred unfolding in their midst. Sally took a tentative step forward, then another, her patchwork dress swaying gently with each movement. The basket in her arms felt lighter somehow, as if love itself was helping her carry it. Her cheeks, made of the softest cotton, somehow managed to blush a delicate pink as Jack drew nearer. When they were close enough to speak without raising their voices, Jack stopped and offered a slight bow, his manners as elegant as his appearance. Sally curtsied in response, her movements graceful, despite the nervous flutter in her chest. For a moment, they simply stood there, drinking in the reality of finally being close to each other, of sharing the same pocket of air and time. Jack's voice, when he finally spoke, was like velvet wrapped in moonlight. He told Sally how he had noticed her in her tower window, how her gentle presence had brought light to his evening wanderings. He spoke of feeling drawn to her kindness, her creativity, the way she seemed to radiate peace in a world that often moved too fast. Sally's response came in whispers, soft as silk. Her words, carefully chosen, like precious gems. She shared how she had watched him move through their town with such grace and consideration, how his dedication to bringing joy to others had touched her heart deeply. She spoke of feeling understood in his presence, even from a distance, as if he could see past her patchwork exterior to the soul that lived within. As they talked, Jack offered Sally the bouquet, his skeletal fingers brushing against her cloth ones as she accepted the flowers. The touch sent warmth spiraling through both of them, a connection that felt both brand new and ancient, like coming home to a place you'd never been but had always belonged. Sally breathed in the sweet fragrance of the flowers, then reached into her basket and withdrew the quilt she had finished the night before. She explained how she had felt inspired to create something that would bring comfort and warmth, though she hadn't known exactly who it was meant for until this very moment. As she offered it to Jack, her voice grew stronger, more confident in the rightness of this exchange. Jack accepted the quilt with reverence, unfolding it enough to see the intricate patterns Sally had stitched with such care. The design told a story of connection, of two different beings finding harmony together. Stars danced with moons, autumn leaves embraced winter snowflakes, and running through it all was a thread of silver that caught the light like captured moonbeams. The marketplace continued its gentle bustle around them, but Jack and Sally had created their own small world within the crowd. They began to walk together, moving naturally toward the quieter paths that led away from the busy center of town. Their conversation flowed like a peaceful stream, sometimes rushing with excitement over shared interests, sometimes slowing to quiet pools of comfortable silence. They discovered they both loved the way morning mist clung to the hills surrounding Halloween Town, how it transformed familiar landscapes into something mysterious and beautiful. Sally confessed her dream of having a garden where she could grow herbs for healing and flowers for joy. Jack shared his secret wish to write poetry, to capture in words the beauty he saw in their strange and wonderful world. As they walked, other residents of Halloween Town smiled to see their beloved Pumpkin King and the gentle rag doll sharing such obvious happiness. Children of various species waved from doorways, while their parents nodded approvingly at the sweet picture the pair made strolling through the winding streets. The path they had chosen led them to a small park where ancient oak trees spread their branches like protective arms. A stone bench sat beneath the largest tree, worn smooth by countless visitors seeking a moment of peace. Without discussing it, they both gravitated toward this restful spot, settling side by side with the natural ease of puzzle pieces finding their perfect fit. Here, surrounded by the gentle rustle of leaves and the distant sounds of their town going about its daily business, Jack and Sally continued to discover the magic of connection. They shared stories of their childhoods, their hopes for the future, the small moments of beauty that made each day worth living. The sun climbed higher in the sky, painting everything in warm golden light that made even the most ordinary things look touched by enchantment. Time seemed to move differently for them, each moment stretching like taffy, sweet and endless. Neither wanted this perfect morning to end, yet both understood that the beauty of such moments came partly from their precious rarity. As the morning stretched toward afternoon, their conversation grew deeper, more intimate. They spoke of loneliness and belonging, of the courage it takes to open your heart to another person. Jack admitted that ruling Halloween Town, while fulfilling, had sometimes left him feeling isolated, as if he were performing a role rather than living authentically. Sally nodded with understanding, sharing her own experiences of feeling different, of longing for connection while fearing rejection. She told him about the long hours spent in her tower, creating beautiful things, but having no one to share them with. Her voice grew soft as she described the ache of watching life happen around her, while feeling like an observer rather than a participant. In that moment of vulnerability, something shifted between them. The careful politeness of new acquaintance gave way to the deeper intimacy of true understanding. Jack reached over and gently took Sally's hand, his bony fingers intertwining with her soft cloth ones in a gesture that felt both comforting and thrilling. They sat in comfortable silence for several minutes, hands joined, watching as butterflies danced among the wildflowers that grew in patches throughout the park. These weren't ordinary butterflies, but creatures unique to Halloween Town, with wings that shimmered like midnight and patterns that resembled tiny constellations. They moved lazily from bloom to bloom, their gentle flight creating a hypnotic rhythm that seemed to match the peaceful beating of two hearts finding their synchronized tempo. Sally broke the silence first, her voice barely above a whisper, as she asked Jack about his dreams beyond Halloween Town. She had always sensed there was more to him than his public role, depths that few had ever been privileged to explore. Jack's response came slowly, thoughtfully, like water finding its way through smooth stones. He spoke of wanting to create beauty that lasted beyond a single night of frights, of finding ways to bring joy that didn't rely on startling or surprising others. The conversation meandered like the winding path they had walked, touching on subjects both profound and playfully simple. They discussed their favorite times of day, discovering they both treasured the quiet hour just before dawn, when the world felt soft and full of possibility. Sally shared her love of rainy afternoons, how the gentle patter against her window made her tower room feel like the coziest place in all the realms. Jack confessed his fondness for the first snow of winter, when Halloween Town transformed into something even more magical than usual. As they talked, Jack found himself studying the delicate way Sally expressed herself, how her hands moved like small birds when she grew excited about a topic, Her enthusiasm was infectious, without being overwhelming, like warm honey spreading slowly through cool milk. Sally, in turn, marveled at Jack's ability to find wonder in the smallest details, the way his entire posture changed when he described something that brought him joy. A family of friendly bats settled in the oak tree above them, their soft chittering providing a gentle soundtrack to the afternoon. These were the kind of bats that helped elderly citizens find their way home in the dark, not the frightening sort that appeared in scary stories. They seemed to approve of the scene below, occasionally dropping small flowers from the tree's branches, like nature's own confetti, celebrating new love. The quilt lay folded between them on the bench, and Jack found himself running his fingers along its edges, amazed by the craftsmanship and care that had gone into every stitch. He asked Sally about her creative process, genuinely curious about how she transformed simple materials into objects of beauty and comfort. Her explanation revealed not just technical skill, but a philosophy of creation that resonated deeply with his own artistic longings. Sally described how she saw potential in everything, how scraps of fabric others might discard could become part of something beautiful when combined with patience and love. She spoke of the meditative quality of stitching, how the repetitive motion helped quiet her mind and allowed her heart to guide her hands. Each project began with intention, she explained, a desire to create something that would bring comfort or joy to someone who needed it. Jack listened with the attention of someone discovering a new language, one that spoke directly to parts of himself he had never fully acknowledged. He had always thought of his role as Pumpkin King in terms of performance and spectacle, but Sally's approach to creation opened his eyes to different possibilities. Perhaps there were ways to touch hearts that didn't require elaborate productions or carefully orchestrated scares. The afternoon sun cast long shadows across the park as other couples and families began to arrive for their own moments of peaceful connection. An elderly vampire and his werewolf husband shared a picnic lunch beneath a nearby tree, their long marriage evident in the comfortable way they anticipated each other's needs. A group of young ghosts played a quiet game of hide and seek among the bushes, their laughter like silver bells carried on the gentle breeze. Jack and Sally watched these scenes with shared appreciation, both understanding instinctively that they were witnessing the true heart of their community. Halloween Town wasn't just about frights and celebrations. It was about connection, family, and the bonds that held everyone together through all seasons and circumstances. They were part of something larger than themselves, yet in this moment, they had also found something uniquely their own. As the day progressed, they discovered more shared interests and complementary differences. Jack's love of grand gestures balanced perfectly with Sally's appreciation for quiet moments. His natural leadership qualities harmonized with her gift for nurturing and support. Where he brought energy and inspiration, she offered grounding and wisdom. Together, they created a harmony neither had experienced alone. The conversation eventually turned to their hopes for the future, dreams they had carried privately in their hearts without ever sharing with another soul. Jack spoke hesitantly at first about his desire to explore other realms, not to conquer or frighten, but to understand and appreciate the different ways beings found joy and meaning. Sally's eyes lit up at this confession, revealing her own secret longing to travel and see the wonders that existed beyond their familiar borders. They began to paint pictures with their words, describing imaginary journeys they might take together. Sally envisioned quiet valleys, where wildflowers grew in abundance, places where she could gather new materials for her creations, while Jack found inspiration for the poetry he longed to write. Jack imagined showing Sally the northern lights he had glimpsed from the highest peaks surrounding Halloween Town, sharing with her the breathtaking beauty that had left him speechless and aching to express what could not be captured in words alone. These shared dreams felt less like fantasy and more like prophecy as they spoke them into existence. The possibility of companionship transformed distant hopes into achievable goals, adventures that would be twice as meaningful when experienced together. Neither felt the need to rush toward these future possibilities, content instead to let them grow naturally from the foundation they were building in the present moment. A gentle breeze stirred the leaves above them, releasing a cascade of golden autumn foliage that drifted down like nature's blessing upon their conversation. Sally caught one of the falling leaves, holding it up to examine its intricate veining and perfect imperfections. She offered it to Jack, who accepted it with the same reverence he might show a precious jewel. The leaf became their first shared treasure, a symbol of this perfect day when two souls had recognized each other and chosen to step forward together into something beautiful and unknown. Jack carefully tucked it into his jacket pocket, promising Sally he would press it between the pages of his favorite book of poetry, preserving it as a reminder of the moment their separate paths had converged into one. As the sun began its slow descent toward the horizon, painting the sky in shades of rose and amber, they realized the day was drawing to its natural close. Neither wanted to break the spell they had woven together, yet both understood that the most beautiful moments were often the most fleeting. The anticipation of future meetings would give them something wonderful to carry through the days ahead. They walked back through the town together, taking the longest possible route to delay their parting. The streets were alive with the gentle bustle of evening preparations. Shopkeepers were closing their stores with satisfied smiles. Families were gathering for dinner, and the jack-o'-lanterns were beginning to flicker to life in preparation for another peaceful night in Halloween Town. At the base of Sally's tower, they paused for their first goodbye. The moment felt both ending and beginning, a closing of one chapter and the opening of another. Jack thanked Sally for the most beautiful day he could remember, his voice carrying emotions too deep for simple words to contain. Sally's response was equally heartfelt, her gratitude shining in her button eyes like stars reflecting in still water. They made plans to meet again the following morning, this time in Sally's garden, where she could show Jack the herbs and flowers she tended with such care. The prospect of tomorrow's reunion made their parting bearable, transforming goodbye into merely until we meet again. Jack watched from the street below as Sally climbed the winding stairs to her tower room, her figure growing smaller, but no less radiant in his sight. That evening, both Jack and Sally moved through their routines with hearts full of new warmth. Jack arranged Sally's flowers in his finest vase, placing them where he could see them from every corner of his study. The quilt found its place on his favorite reading chair, where its soft comfort would remind him daily of the gentle hands that had created it with such love. In her tower room, Sally pressed the flowers Jack had given her, preparing them for a special project she was already planning in her mind. She would create something beautiful that incorporated their gift, a way to keep this perfect day alive in physical form. Her sewing basket had never felt more full of possibility. Every thread and scrap of fabric now carrying the potential to become part of their growing love story. As the days turned into weeks, their morning meetings in Sally's garden became as natural as breathing. Jack would arrive just as the first light painted the sky in soft pastels, his footsteps on the cobblestones below serving as Sally's gentle wake-up call. She would descend from her tower, carrying a small wicker basket filled with fresh herbs for tea, her smile brighter than any sunrise Halloween Town had ever witnessed. The garden itself seemed to bloom more vibrantly in response to their shared happiness. Roses climbed higher up the tower walls, their petals unfurling in deeper shades of crimson and gold. The lavender grew in fuller bushes, releasing fragrance that followed them like invisible ribbons wherever they walked. Even the vegetables seemed more abundant, as if love itself was the finest fertilizer. Sally taught Jack the names of every plant, sharing the stories and legends behind each herb's healing properties. Chamomile for peaceful sleep, she explained, running her fingers through the tiny daisy-like flowers. Mint for clarity of thought, its leaves releasing cool bursts of scent when gently crushed. Jack listened with the attention of a devoted student. But more than that, he absorbed each lesson as another precious gift from the woman who was quickly becoming the center of his world. In return, Jack shared stories of his travels throughout Halloween Town, describing hidden corners and secret places that few had ever seen. He told Sally about the singing stones that hummed lullabies when the wind was just right, and the mirror lake that reflected not your face, but your deepest dreams. His words painted pictures so vivid that Sally felt she had visited these magical places herself, experiencing them through his eyes and his boundless appreciation for beauty. Their conversations during these morning hours moved like honey, slow and sweet and golden. Neither felt the need to fill every moment with words. Sometimes they worked side by side in comfortable silence, Jack helping Sally tend to plants while she showed him the proper way to deadhead flowers and harvest herbs. His long, elegant fingers proved surprisingly gentle when handling delicate seedlings, and Sally found herself thinking how perfectly their hands seemed designed to work together. Dr. Finkelstein had begun to notice Sally's new radiance, though he attributed it to the change in seasons rather than the change in her heart. She moved through her daily tasks with a lightness that made even her footsteps sound like music on the tower's wooden floors. Her creativity had reached new heights as well, producing quilts and embroidered pieces that seemed to glow with inner warmth, though she kept her most special project hidden away for the perfect moment to reveal it. Jack, too, was experiencing a transformation that others began to notice. His duties as Pumpkin King had always been performed with dedication, but now there was something more in his leadership, a gentleness that hadn't been there before, a patience that spoke of someone who had found peace in his own heart. The citizens of Halloween Town whispered among themselves about their king's new contentment, and more than a few knowing smiles were exchanged when Sally's name came up in conversation. The mayor, with his rotating head that showed different expressions depending on his mood, had taken to visiting Jack's mansion more frequently. He claimed it was for official business, but really, he was curious about the changes he observed in his friend and leader. During one such visit, he discovered Jack sitting in his study, surrounded by sheets of paper covered in elegant handwriting, poetry the mayor realized with delight, watching as Jack's pen moved across the page with fluid grace. The poems were love letters, written to no one and everyone, verses that captured the feeling of morning mist and the sound of laughter echoing through empty streets. They spoke of discovery and wonder, of finding magic in the most ordinary moments. The mayor, who had known Jack for countless years, had never seen him so inspired, so alive with creative energy that seemed to pour from his very bones. Meanwhile, Sally had begun keeping a journal of her own, recording not just the daily happenings in her life, but her growing feelings for the remarkable skeleton who had brought such joy into her world. Her entries were illustrated with tiny drawings of flowers and stars, bordered with patterns that seemed to dance across the pages. She wrote about the way Jack's laugh sounded like wind chimes in a gentle breeze, and how his presence made even the simplest activities feel like celebrations. Their friendship deepened with each passing day, built on a foundation of mutual respect and genuine affection. They shared books, reading passages aloud to each other, in voices that turned even prose into poetry. Jack introduced Sally to his favorite volumes of classical literature, while she shared her collection of botanical guides and folklore about healing plants. They discovered they both loved stories that ended with hope rather than fear, tales that celebrated the triumph of love over loneliness. One particularly beautiful morning, as autumn painted the world in shades of copper and gold, Jack arrived at the garden, carrying a small, wrapped package. His usual confidence seemed touched with nervous excitement as he presented it to Sally, explaining that he had been working on something special for her. Inside the careful wrapping, Sally found a small, leather-bound book filled with Jack's handwritten poetry, each page decorated with tiny sketches of the places and moments they had shared together. The dedication on the first page brought tears to Sally's button eyes. In Jack's elegant script, he had written that these verses belonged to the one who had taught him that the most beautiful magic was found not in grand spectacles, but in quiet connections between kindred souls. Sally held the book against her chest, feeling as though she had been given a piece of Jack's very heart, carefully crafted and freely offered. In response, Sally disappeared into her tower for several minutes, returning with her own gift wrapped in cloth she had dyed the exact blue of Jack's favorite evening sky. Inside, Jack found a vest she had been secretly creating, stitched with threads that caught the light like captured moonbeams. The pattern was subtle, but unmistakable to anyone who looked closely, a design that told the story of their growing love through symbols only they would understand. Autumn leaves danced with spring flowers. Day melted into night, and throughout it all ran a silver thread that bound everything together in perfect harmony. Jack put on the vest immediately, marveling at how perfectly it fit, as if Sally had somehow measured not just his frame, but his very essence. The fabric felt like wearing a gentle hug, and he knew he would treasure it always as a symbol of the care and attention Sally had invested in creating something uniquely for him. As the weeks continued to unfold, their love story became interwoven with the daily rhythm of Halloween Town. Children would wave excitedly when they spotted the pair walking together through the marketplace, while elderly residents smiled with the satisfaction of having witnessed something beautiful taking root. The local florist began setting aside the finest blooms for Jack's daily bouquets, and the bookshop owner made sure to stock extra volumes of poetry, knowing they would soon find their way into loving hands. Their relationship had a quality of inevitability about it, as if the universe itself had been waiting for these two souls to discover each other. Every conversation revealed new layers of compatibility. Every shared silence felt comfortable as an old friendship. They began to finish each other's thoughts, to sense each other's moods without need for explanation. When Sally felt tired, Jack would suggest a rest beneath their favorite oak tree. When Jack seemed restless, Sally would propose a walk to discover some new corner of their beloved town. The seasons began to change more noticeably as their love grew stronger. The crisp air of late autumn carried promises of winter's gentle approach, and Sally started planning a special garden project that would bloom in spring. She envisioned a space where she and Jack could sit together on warm mornings, surrounded by flowers that would attract butterflies and hummingbirds. In her mind, she could already see them years from now, older and even more deeply connected, sharing quiet conversations while tending to plants that would grow as their love had grown, slowly and steadily and strong. Jack, too, was making plans that stretched into the future. He had begun sketching designs for a small workshop where he could write without the demands of his royal duties interrupting his thoughts. He imagined Sally visiting him there, bringing tea and gentle conversation while he worked on poems that would capture the beauty of their shared life. In his vision, the workshop would have large windows overlooking her garden, so that even when they were engaged in separate activities, they would still be connected by sight and proximity. These future dreams never felt rushed or premature. Instead, they grew naturally from the solid foundation of friendship and understanding they had built together. Neither felt the need to speak these plans aloud yet, content to let them develop in the quiet spaces of their hearts until the time felt right for sharing. For now, it was enough to know that tomorrow would bring another morning in the garden, another opportunity to discover new depths in each other's company. As Halloween approached, bringing with it Jack's busiest time of year, they both felt a mixture of excitement and gentle sadness. The celebration would mean less time for their quiet mornings together, but it would also give Sally her first chance to see Jack in his full glory as the Pumpkin King. She had only heard stories of his magnificent performances, and part of her thrilled at the prospect of witnessing firsthand the skill and artistry that had made him legendary throughout Halloween Town. Jack, meanwhile, found himself looking forward to Halloween with a new kind of anticipation. This year, he would not be performing just for the joy of others, but with the knowledge that someone special would be watching, someone whose opinion mattered more to him than all the applause in the world. The thought of Sally's proud smile gave his preparations an extra sparkle, a deeper meaning that transformed duty into devotion. Their love story was like the perfect bedtime tale, unfolding with the gentle predictability of seasons changing and flowers blooming. No dramatic conflicts threatened their happiness. No villains lurked in shadows, waiting to tear them apart. Instead, their relationship grew with the quiet strength of oak trees, sending roots deep into the fertile ground of mutual understanding and shared dreams. Each day brought small discoveries, tiny moments of joy that accumulated like pearls on a string, creating something precious and lasting and beautiful. In Halloween Town, where magic was as common as morning mist, the greatest magic of all was proving to be the simple miracle of two hearts recognizing their perfect match and choosing, day after day, to build something wonderful together. Their love required no grand gestures or dramatic declarations, only the quiet commitment to see each other clearly, to offer support and encouragement, and to create a shared space where both could flourish as their truest, most authentic selves. The story of Jack and Sally was becoming legend, not through great adventures or perilous quests, but through the accumulation of countless gentle moments that proved love's greatest power lies not in its ability to conquer or overcome, but in its capacity to nurture, to heal, and to create beauty from the simple act of two souls, choosing to walk through life together, hand in hand, heart to heart, dream to dream. To dream. The nights grew longer as autumn deepened into the embrace of early winter, and with each passing evening, Jack and Sally's connection bloomed like night-blooming flowers that opened only under starlight. Their love had become the kind of gentle constant that made even the coldest nights feel wrapped in warmth. The sort of affection that whispered rather than shouted, that comforted rather than overwhelmed. On quiet evenings, when his royal duties were complete, Jack would climb the winding stairs to Sally's tower, carrying small gifts he had discovered during his daily walks through Halloween Town. Sometimes it was a perfectly shaped acorn that reminded him of her button eyes. Other times, a piece of sea glass, worn smooth by time and tide, that matched the exact shade of her favorite dress. These offerings were never grand or expensive, but each one carried the weight of thoughtful attention, the precious currency of someone who noticed beauty in small things, because love had taught him to see the world through grateful eyes. Sally would greet him at her door with hands dusted in flour from the evening's baking, her tower rooms filled with the warm scent of cinnamon bread and honey cakes. She had discovered that Jack possessed a sweet tooth that rivaled any child's, delighting in treats that melted on the tongue and left lingering tastes of comfort and home. Together, they would sit by her small fireplace, sharing still warm pastries, while Sally worked on her latest sewing project, and Jack read aloud from books of fairy tales and gentle adventures. His voice had a quality that transformed even the simplest stories into magical journeys. When he read about brave knights and clever princesses, distant kingdoms, and enchanted forests, Sally felt as though she were traveling to those far-off places without ever leaving the cozy circle of firelight that surrounded them. Jack's long fingers would turn the pages with careful reverence, and sometimes he would pause to show Sally illustrations that had caught his fancy, pointing out details with the enthusiasm of someone sharing treasure with a beloved friend. These evening hours became their most precious time together, a daily ritual that anchored their growing love in the comfortable rhythms of domestic peace. Sally would serve tea in delicate cups painted with tiny roses, while Jack would arrange himself in the chair she had designated as his long legs folding gracefully to fit the more modest proportions of her tower room. Sometimes their conversation would flow like a gentle river, carrying them through topics both profound and playfully silly. Other evenings, comfortable silence would settle around them like a soft blanket, broken only by the occasional crackle of the fire or the whisper of turning pages. And so, as the gentle flames in Sally's fireplace settled into glowing embers and Halloween Town wrapped itself in the velvet embrace of another peaceful night, our story finds its natural resting place. Like the softest lullaby that carries you into dreams, Jack and Sally's love reminds us that the most beautiful tales are often the quietest ones, built from small kindnesses and shared silences, from morning conversations in sun-dappled gardens and evening hours spent reading by flickering candlelight. Their hearts had found their perfect rhythm together, beating in harmony, like a gentle song that plays on repeat, soothing and eternal. May your own dreams be filled with such tender magic, where love grows slowly like flowers in moonlight, and where every ending is simply another beginning wrapped in starlight and hope.